The question is, will the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender actually be better than the original animated masterpiece? Now, it's all opinions. There's a chance, maybe 0.0003%, that it could be on the level of that.
Well, the fact that you called it masterpiece tells me no, it can't.
Some people might say yes, in which case, you're actually not wrong yet because we haven't seen it. But I feel like in almost any likelihood, it cannot be as good as the original animated show. It's just how it is. We can't change the facts. The facts are then one of the greatest shows, animated or non-animated, of all time. But we've got to do fact of the day. Page number 231, fact number
4.
Tiramisu means pick-me-up in Italian.
Oh, that's a banger.
I actually knew that one.
Of course you knew that.
I've eaten a lot of tiramisu in my life, alright? It's one of the premium desserts.
It is. I'll agree with you.
It makes me shit myself to no end, but it's great.
It's still a pick-me-up, though. It picks you up, but then it also blows you out.
Holy shit. Hey, NarendraTheComic
Not
Yes,
today.
Runner, we're going to be reacting to the first teaser trailer for the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender from Netflix. Now, as we said at the beginning, the original show, what is it?
Masterpiece.
That's just how it is. One of the most unbelievably well-told stories of all time. I will say, the first 5 episodes or so, a little bit saggy, a little bit laggy. But after that, it is absolutely phenomenal, and nothing really holds a candle to its flame in terms of the animated world.
Stop. That pun was very, very nice. But you are still right. These characters, the music behind it, the storytelling,
the
fact...
world building.
Yeah, I will say the voices of those kids way back, they're stuck in my head forever. They were so good.
Right? It's tough, but the thing is, the One Piece live action show did give me hope. It said, you know what, maybe they have the right people on board for this. The thing that worries me is the fact that the original creators are not a part of this production. They were, and then they didn't like the direction it was going in, story-wise, casting-wise, whatever it was, and they left. They said, sayonara, not happening. And they just decided to continue the story in their own way and started writing more comics and potentially making an animated movie. This world is thriving. It's growing still. And lockdowns, if there was one good thing that came out of all this shenanigans over the world over the last 3 years, it was the fact that there were numpties who were laughing at us when we were kids. Like, oh, you're watching cartoons still? Oh, they're 25 years old. I've heard this really good show, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I've been watching the first season. I'm hooked on this show. You're taking the piss out of me when I was 13, 10, 11.
No.
Why are you watching these cartoons for, huh?
Look, all we can say now is that they were uninitiated. Now they have been initiated. And these are more viewers for the live action.
It's true.
Right?
It's true. And the live action could bring in an even bigger, more general audience as well. But let's get to this teaser anyway. Let's go.
Is that Sozin's Comet?
Time.
Oh, good bet.
Time is a funny thing.
Oh, is that Iroh speaking?
The past. The future.
That rumbling.
It all gets mixed up. There's only one way to keep it straight. Always remember who you are.
Okay.
Wow. I'm getting a shiver. Oh, Momo!
I think it's not bad from what we've seen.
Oh, they've set an exact date.
That's not that far away, you know?
That really isn't.
Well, you know, I think it's a really, really strange one for us because we obviously know this story and have read basically almost all the behind the scenes of the entire original production of the show over the last 10 years. So watching this, I want it to be good. It didn't give me that same feeling of exhilaration
Hope.
that I thought I would have watching it.
The actual animation of the bending, it looks good. They've done a good job. This isn't a Shamhammer. This isn't as
it's
bad
not
as
on that level, no.
right? And they've added this gravitas to the way that they were editing these shots being put in on the beats, and it does look good. But I think it really comes down to these kids acting, right? It could turn really bad really, really quickly because they are young.
Or it could be good. If they're good kid actors, I could say, wow, they've done a great job.
Yeah.
But we don't know yet.
But it's always on the edge of the knife, right? Especially with child actors. And when you're adding in these stunts.
Something I am questioning is, are they going to stick to the actual storyline 99 or 100%? Or are they changing it significantly?
No.
Are they going to say, we're actually going to introduce these characters early or these characters late? I don't know the way they're going to structure that, but I don't want them changing much.
Yeah, this is one of those things where the less deviation, the better. And especially because we've already visually seen it, because it was animation. When you change things, people are going to say, why? It was perfect. If you do change it, it has to be better.
Right.
And the likelihood of them making it better is very slim.
Hey, but it doesn't have to be better to be good. It doesn't have to be better than the original. It just has to not be Shamhammer and not be shit. That's it. Just be okay and most people will accept it. Yeah. But if it's actually bad, I'm not sure how the general audience is going to feel. I'm not sure even about the casting, to be honest with you, because obviously when you look at the world that was created for Avatar, it's very, very in line with Asia in specifically 16 to 1900s. It's heavy on the allegories there, right?
Oh, yeah.
When you look at the Earth Nation is basically China.
It is.
You look at the Eskimos and island people being the water tribes, and Nepalis and Tibetans, North Indians being the air temples and the air nomads, and the Fire Nation being the big question, because clearly they are Japanese.
Yeah.
But the creators said at the time, we did base it basically 100% on Japanese imperialism. But for the show, we wanted to just differentiate it a little bit. So they blended in some Malaysian and Indonesian culture with the Fire Nation. So it wasn't just purely Japanese. But we all know it's Japan, it's China, it's North India, Tibet. That's what the entire world is built on. There's nothing else. So when Daniel Day Kim was cast as Ozai, I thought, I like him as an actor. He does have weight and gravitas and a name to him. But I'm not sure he's Ozai. From the look of him, I think he can sell it. I think he can do it, and I believe it, but I don't particularly love the casting of a Korean person as a Japanese imperialist. I think it comes down to this idea that Asians are a monolith in most cases, and this really, really goes with that.
Yeah, you actually took the words out of my mouth there with Asian monolith. I think it's an issue because I would like to think that Netflix is actually breaking away from that and making everyone very specific. We're casting people for a reason, not just because, oh, well, they're that sort of Asian. It's kind of similar to this sort of Asian. We'll make it work.
Yeah.
It's fine. No one's going to complain. That's not the way to look at this, especially when the actual creators have taken so clearly from our world.
And the history and historical context from the last 400 or 500 years, specifically in East Asia and Asia. So I'm not sure how that's going to really fly. Maybe most people won't have an issue with it. I generally don't have a problem, but when you see other characters and other actors and the general situation is you have to cast based on the history, you have to say because it's based in this place, it has to be this person playing it, because it's based in this world, it has to be this person or this type of person playing it. That's the general feeling nowadays, and I don't love it, but if that's the way you're going, then you have to have the same adherence when it comes to stories like this, because in my opinion, it does devalue it slightly.
Yeah.
Not so grandiosely where I'm saying I'm not gonna watch it, but I just don't have that same yearning that it's not going with historical context. So it can't be a plus or a positive point that they're doing that.
Right, no, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. But I will say, generally the shots look good. They pulled in the music, which really did give me a bit of a shiver.
Right at the end, right? It wasn't really there at the beginning. It was kind of blended, but at the end it just came through with the wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I like that a lot.
They did a good thing there. We're going to give it a go.
The special effects look good.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes they looked a bit Zack Snydery, which isn't a bad thing. They looked like Dragon Ball Z in live action, but the good kind, not the bad kind. So it might actually be visually a very, very nicely done show and not looking too spoofy or too ridiculous and feeling like it's a cosplay type of situation.
Yeah.
The guy playing Zuko, I didn't exactly love it.
Yeah.
I didn't love it. Maybe the scar wasn't right.
I think his scar should have been darker.
Right.
It looked too pale a red. You have to think, in this season, it's meant to be very, very recent. So that's meant to look about as raw as possible. It's going to fade over time.
But it was a night shot. So
Yeah.
maybe you're not going to get the right lighting on it
That's
compared
possible.
to during the day. But Uncle Iroh as well looks like a fat Asian man. he ain't Japanese. I can tell from the features he ain't Japanese.
Yeah, that's the issue, right?
Isn't it nuts? Me 5-10 years ago would say I can't differentiate between a Japanese person, a Korean person, a Chinese person, a Vietnamese person, an Indonesian person. Because I've taken in so many East Asian and South Asian stories over the last 10 years, and I've been watching more K-dramas, more J-dramas, more C-dramas, whatever it is, I actually can visually distinguish between these people, whereas before I could never do it.
Yeah, that's
I'd say
the thing.
I was one of those people 10 years ago. They all look the same to me. Now I'm like, nah, they're clearly different. They clearly have different features. They look like different people entirely.
Yeah, but see, that's the issue. They're expecting people to be the older you and being like, well, they look the same to me, which I personally don't agree with.
No.
Right? We've aged. We are different people
Yeah,
now.
yeah, absolutely.
We've also engaged in different cultures, and a lot of people who got into Avatar: The Last Airbender are actually into K-dramas, J-dramas, C-dramas, this sort of thing, right? So you're actually doing a disservice to those people and the original creators. They put their whole lives into this. And with the historical context, you have to give it its due, because there are people who still feel those effects now, right? And there are still political issues between Japan and Korea.
China and Japan, Korea and China.
Yeah, and
It's
all
all
of
over.
that stuff. So when you consider that that was the history and the reason that the creators based it on that, you're kind of doing a bit of funny business.
Plus
here.
the situation where they blended Indonesian and Japanese culture in the show to make the Fire Nation, it was a bit weird, because obviously Japan has a weird history with Indonesia and the island areas of Southeast Asia, so I wasn't sure why they did that, but you should have just made it in the show even so objective and this is what it is, but they didn't want to for cultural reasons, and they want to sell the show in Japan.
Yeah,
So, you know,
that too.
maybe they did the right decision there. But I will say, just to give our credentials as being like big actual Avatar fans, we have the DVDs of Season 1, Season 2, and Season 3. We are those people. We him. We them. We know what's going on. So, please, don't come in the comments saying, oh, you don't know what's happening. No. We know. We know.
I got you! I got you! Take that, you friggin' psycho!